Hello, finalists. Welcome to the day. Can we have the finalists take their wonderful seats with their wonderful book covers? Yeah. Well, thank you. Hello, I am Denise Raleigh from the soon-to-be famous committee. And first, I want to thank our finalists. It's Karen Bedore from Aurora Public Library. We have Annie Hansen from Big Rock Library. And we have Daniel Rosenberg from Highland Park Public Library. And first, I'd like to thank them from being from the communities that they're from. Gail, Borden became a central location after we had our finalists. So thank you so much for making it so that Gail, Borden could host this event. Again, it's a great honor. We want to thank a number of people today. We want to thank Bibliolabs. They are sponsoring the first ever, soon to be famous, $1,000 cash prize. And they supplied a wonderful platform that we use this year, and it's really allowing us to move this contest to the next level. So it's a wonderful opportunity. Thank you, Bibliolabs. I think they're watching us online, so thank you. We want to thank the Illinois Library Association. Cindy Robinson will speak in a little bit, and they've been a wonderful partner from the get-go. Dee Brennan is here from Reaching Across Illinois Library System. They have been a partner from the get-go. They made this all possible, and so we thank them mightily, ILA and Rails. Also would like to mention this project is also partnered with the other Illinois systems, Illinois Heartland and Chicago Public Library System, also supported by the American Library Association. So everyone understands the role that libraries can play in helping people discover great new authors. And so again, we've had tremendous support from the beginning of this project, and we're in our 4th year. National Library Week. We plan it for National Library Week because it's a time to celebrate what we do in libraries. And National Library Week started in 1958. And it was to get people reading. Everybody was worried with television being so popular whether people would still read. And guess what? People do read. And their theme in 1958 was Wake Up and Read. Well, we think Soon to be Famous really matches that theme and takes it to a new level. And we think Soon to be Famous fits in Wake Up and Lead. Libraries leading the way to help our customers find authors, good authors, no matter where they come from, published or self-published. They are interested in talented authors. So again, we think it's a wonderful project for us to embed in National Library Week. When self-publishing started, we thought, oh, if you're self-published, you've got to not be good. And there's way too many. And we can't review them. Let me remind everyone that self-published authors are The Joy of Cooking by Irma Rombar, Wool Trilogy by Hugh Howey. And people may argue about whether this is a good read or not, but E.L. James, 50 Shades, was also started self-published. I'd also like to point to this poster behind and some other really great reads. We're in 2014, Joanne Zienti, The Things We Save, Michael Allen Peck, The Commons, and Geraldine Hesla McGrady, who is here to pass the wonderful author crown, is here, and her book was Lines, another great read. And to talk about the penetration of self-published authors, this is from the February 2017 author earnings report. 34% of ebooks sales went to self-published authors, compared to 26% that came from the big 5 publishers. So just to understand, this is what a growth field and how much our customers want to read self-published authors. Next, I'd like to introduce members of the soon-to-be-famous committee. And please stand up. Julie Stamm, Eisenhower Public Library District. Donna Fletcher Consulting, also Highland Park. She's a board member. Sue Wilsey, Helen Plum. Nikki Zimmerman, who is now at Rails. Amy Byrne, White Oak Public Library. Jeffrey Fisher, Fountaindale Public Library. And 2 members that are emeritus but really still help out is Liz Clemens from Gail Borden and Lucy Terabor from now Grand Victoria Foundation. I also, we have other, Eileen Crowley is not here with us today, or Karen Bride could not make it. Oh, and Eva Bagley. Oh, I'm sorry. Eileen Crowley, Wheaton Public Library. Eva Bagley, Chicago Ridge. Okay, since I've just screwed that up entirely, is there anybody else I haven't mentioned? Okay. Thank you to the members of the Public Relations Department here at Gail Borden for helping out. I also want to thank the directors of these people's library. They allow us to do this work, and it's very compelling, and they support us in this. And again, I've got Carol Metal here, the library director, who also supported this project from the get-go. So she's Executive Director Carol Metal from Gail Borden. I've also got 3 board members here, Sue Moylan, Patty Hargett, and Jean Bednar. Thank you for coming. It's great to see the support from board members. Today, we're also going to, a little bit of what's going to happen today. We're going to hear from Dee Brennan. We're going to hear from Rails, Cindy Robinson from ILA. And then Geraldine is going to read a little excerpt from each author, and then we'll hear from each author. And that's always a wonderful time. Then Julie's going to let you know how wonderful the judging takes place, and then the big reveal, and Geraldine's going to handle that for us. So we thank you very much, and let's get going. And next, we're going to hear from Dee. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Great to see all of you here today. Is that all right? How's that? Okay, good. Trying to avoid the feedback. So glad to see all of you here today. I am Dee Brennan. I'm the executive director of the Reaching Across Illinois Library System, which is a multi-type system. We serve about 1,300 libraries of all types across northern, western, eastern Illinois, 27,000 square miles of service area. So as Denise has indicated, Rails has been a partner since the beginning, and I love this project. As many, those of you who know me know that I just love it. In fact, I was thinking, I think you're going to have to get a different name, like soon to be more famous, or or something that like that, because it just grows and grows and grows, and that is an indication of what a great project it is. I think that what excites me the most about it is that it is a great partnership between authors and libraries and readers, and it's been great for authors. It's fantastic for readers because it has made available to readers so much more, so many more resources than we would ever know about if we just stuck with the traditional publishers. And obviously, we're very happy for the authors as well. And, I think it really shows the power of libraries, which is, I think, kind of how it all started, too, which was that libraries build readers, and this is an indication that that is true. We have such librarians and their patrons and authors have such a great relationship, and when we work together, we all benefit. So thank you, Carol, Gail, Borden, and board members for hosting this. Thank you, committee, and I look forward to hearing the exciting reveal.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Cindy Robinson. I'm the Conference and Continuing Education Manager at the Illinois Library Association. Bob Doyle would usually be here, but he had a conflict today. And I have to say, I was really happy when he asked if I could attend in his place, because last year I watched the live stream. Hi, everybody watching the live stream. But it's way more exciting being in the room where it happens. So I can't wait for the announcement. ILA loves this project. Everybody at the office loves this project. We have been fortunate over the last 3 years to welcome the soon-to-be famous Illinois author to our annual conference, to participate in a program, to visit the exhibits, to get the opportunity to talk to members. I hope we get to do that again this year. And I'm really happy to announce that we've added a new benefit to the program for the sponsoring library. So the library whose author is the winner this year will receive a complimentary registration for the ILA annual conference or for the Reaching Forward conference. The ILA conference will be in Tinley Park in October, and Reaching Forward is held in Rosemont in May. So we look forward to welcoming not only our authors, but also one extra person from our winning library. Thanks very much, and good luck.
This is so exciting. I can't believe it's been a year. I'm so excited because I don't know who's behind here. And James is here from last year. And we were sitting up there together along with Amanda. And what a year this has been. So I knew I would do this, so I didn't write the full speech here. I put it in bullet points because I knew I would do this. So I'm not going to cry, because this year it's not about crying. And Bob isn't here with the tissue. So we're okay. It's all good. It's all good. I want to acknowledge that this particular award is something that is incredibly exciting, not just for the finalists, but this is something that's exciting for readers and writers across the state, and hopefully someday across the nation. I would say as an English teacher, I teach at Fenwick High School in Oak Park. As an English teacher, reading and writing is so incredibly important. I have 2 teenage sons, and libraries are so very important. So to have this mesh is something that I think our world needs to embrace, and I love the fact that I get to be a part of that. When I was writing my book, it took a long time. My book was historical fiction, is historical fiction. And it's something that as a teacher, I focused on during my summers. Several years prior to me finishing the book, I am a member of the Chicago Writers Association, even though I'd never had anything published. I was one of those quiet people that just followed the threads and learned stuff, and I absorbed stuff. And when it was time for my book to be self-published, which I always knew it would be, it was a labor of love, I knew that I would apply for this competition because I believed in this competition. When I first heard about it through the CWA, I thought, what a fantastic opportunity for people. And so on December 15th, 2015, I finally let go after 10 summers. I say 10 summers because it seems a lot longer when I say 10 years, but I really did focus on summers. So 10 years in the making, December 15th, 2015, I pressed self-published, and it was this big sigh of relief. I can't believe I'm finally there. And then January 4th was the deadline for soon to be famous. And I'm thinking, call the library. What do you think? They're like, yes, Geraldine, you've been doing this too long. We're going to get you in right away. Well, I was still getting used to being done. I was not used to people buying it, telling people to buy it. I didn't call myself an author. This was my own personal thing. And then in February, it wasn't personal anymore. I became a semifinalist in the soon-to-be-famous Illinois Author Project. All of a sudden, my colleagues, really? You know what, Geraldine? I've been working on a writing piece too. That's awesome. But I'm 65. Yeah? So what? Let's go. Let's do this. And then all of a sudden in March, you're one of the finalists. What? You've got to be kidding me. I think I said that like over, no way, you've got to be kidding me. So it's the excitement of having that acknowledgement that your work resonated with someone. And that's a wonderful feeling to know that someone else is resonating with your characters, with your plot, with your conflicts. And all those papers that I critique, people are now critiquing me. And it's okay. It's a wonderful experience. It's a wonderful part of the writer's journey that I've learned to talk about during this past year. This day last year, oh my gosh. This is huge. This is huge. And I am so, so proud to be able to stand here because I hope that I have represented this award to the best of my ability this past year. Whoever wins this, I will tell you, this excitement is nothing compared to what this year will hold. The Library Association across Illinois is top-notch. They have reached out to me. I've been able to host many book signings and talks, book clubs. Go Berwyn. I'm from Berwyn. Not many people know about Berwyn. They always know about Oak Park next door, but I'm Berwyn. I teach in Oak Park, though. But they had 2 book clubs for my book. There were other surrounding communities that chose my book as their summer book club read. That's exciting stuff. I have one little independent bookstore down Oak Park Avenue in Oak Park that's been really good to me. And so I said, you know what, I'm not going to go out to other stores to sell this book. I'm going to do it here because right now we're on a big movement of book club for lines. Local area, teach in a local area, and everyone wants to do their book club with lines. You'll be amazed at how many book clubs are going to come up. Newspaper interviews, online interviews, speaking engagements, lit fests. You are the winner of the soon-to-be-famous Illinois Author Project, and that means something. I will continue to be a cheerleader for this. I hope to continue to be involved in this. I will continue to talk about this, and I will continue to be a cheerleader for those who have participated in other finalists. Like James Hosek, right there. Everyone give him a go. So that's enough about me. I think it's time to hear a little bit about these wonderful authors and the books that they have shared with this competition. Starting with The Bard by Karen Bedore. Elsinia walked over to the window and noticed how late it was getting. The sun was low on the horizon, washing the sky in a beautiful orange glow. It was hard to believe that the day had come and gone so quickly. Cassia? Yes. Is there anything I can do? Anything at all? Prayer is powerful, and right now, it is what your father would want you to do. The worst thing you could do is act rashly and get yourself into a quandary. Have faith, my dear. Your father is the best there is. Come now, she said. I know what will take your mind off of things for a while. Let us go to the inn for a drink and watch your bard perform you a song or two. My bard? Alcinia asked. I hardly would call him mine. My dear, with all the times I have seen him perform, he has never once given a lady a rose, let alone a kiss. I do believe he fancies you. Alcinia imagined for a moment that this was true and almost smiled to herself. But how could he possibly court her if he will not reveal his true identity? Oh, nonsense, she thought. I should focus my energy on making sure my father is safe instead of cavorting about in a lovesick girl's fantasy. Very well. She was surprised that those words slipped from her mouth, and so she quickly added, but I wish to leave a little early, seeing as though I did not sleep well last night. Cassia smiled and reached out her hand. All right then, let's go. The inn was quite crowded again, but their wait for a table was short. Alcinia and Cassia engaged in miscellaneous chatter as they waited for the bard to appear. Apparently, the previous act was so terrible that he was forced off the stage early, or so they overheard from the table next to them. The barmaid brought them their drinks. Milady, she said to Alcinia, I was also told to deliver this to you. She handed her a folded letter and then returned to serve other patrons. Alcinia looked at the letter. It was sealed with wax, the image of a lute, and a rose. Cassia raised her eyebrows and gently nudged her arm. Will you believe me now? She said. Go on, open it. Sliding her finger under the wax seal, Alcinia unfolded the letter as the bard walked on stage. He began singing, and she listened for a moment before turning her eyes back to the letter. My fair lady, from the moment my eyes lay upon you, you have enraptured my soul and brought my heart to life. Your elegance, innocence, and surpassing beauty have ensnared every fiber of my being, and I cannot help but to love you. You are my music, my heart's song. Without you, I am surely nothing. Please, if it is your will, meet me outside after the show and come alone. The Bard. Alcinia let Cassia read the letter under the table so as to not draw attention. What should I do, she asked her. Meeting a strange man alone hardly seems like safe judgment. There are enough patrols around at night, and you are armed, aren't you? Are you not? Besides, she added, I really doubt he is a murderer, and if you're not around when I arrive for your studies tomorrow, then we will riot here in the evening when he arrives, and he won't be leaving the inn without answers. She grinned. So does this mean we're not leaving early then, She winked at Alcinia, who blushed again and looked away. Perhaps I might not be as tired as I thought. The rest of the performance was as remarkable as ever, though Alcinia was on the edge of her seat, waiting for him to take his leave. Karen Bedore is a middle school Whovian band director who has always had a passion for writing. Whether it be music, journaling, or stories, she enjoys running, spending time with her husband and son, and drinking lots of coffee. Lots. Which is why we will be friends. Come on up, Karen.
Good afternoon. When I walk into my library, there is this excitement that wells up within me because literally at my fingertips, there are thousands of different adventures and experiences that I could lose myself in. I could spend hours amongst those stacks, escaping to far-off places and times and becoming some of my favorite characters and living within their worlds. I've experienced this since I was a small child, and after seeing the never-ending story, I'd always wanted to create my own book that could take people on an adventure like that, being able to live in the story, so to speak. So it was in November of 2014 that a bunch of my 8th grade band students were discussing their National Novel Writing Month preparations and convinced me to join them in writing a nano. I had the story ruminating around in my brain for a while, so that was the perfect time for me to actually sit down and do it and be held accountable for it, although the 50,000 word goal was a very daunting thing to pen within 30 days. We would keep a tally of our word counts up in my band room on my whiteboard, and it was such a cool thing to hear so many of my personal students so passionate about what they were writing as well. We were each other's cheering sections, and we were pushing each other towards our word count goals. But being a band director and a mother of a small child, it was oftentimes very difficult to find the time to sit down and actually write those words. My son had Saturday classes in the same building as our library, and I would sneak away to the second floor and right there, gathering as much research as I could. And I remember in particular one incident where I asked the person behind the desk where their resources were for poison and poisonous plants and how to plot a murder. So they gave me some interesting looks, but they led me to the stacks, and I was on my way. So anyway, about the Bard. I've always been in love with Italy and the Renaissance and with sweet romance stories. And being a musician myself, of course, one of the main characters had to be a musician. The Bard takes place at the beginning of Renaissance Italy in the year 1448. And Alcinia and her father Giuseppe had fled their small town in northern Italy when it was destroyed, losing her mother and fiancé in the ordeal. They head west to start a new life in Turin with Lord William Gordon, who is a man from Giuseppe's past. Once she's there, Alcinia befriends a lady named Cassia, as you heard, and she takes her under her wing and helps her adjust to life in a larger city. One of the things she introduces her to is the music at Turin, especially one of the mysterious bard who performs at the local inn on most evenings. And the reason he's so mysterious is that he shows up and he plays wearing a mask and a cap and a disguise. He never speaks to anyone and takes leave right after the performance. And any communication he does is through writing and only with the innkeeper. And he's one of those men that has rugged good looks and charm, and his incredible voice makes all the women swoon. And he never fails to draw a large audience because of that. And a few times he's made subtle glances at Alcinia, and during one of his songs, even presented her with a rose and a kiss on the cheek. And at first she thinks it was for show, but she's secretly hoping that there's more to it than that. But what Alcinia doesn't know is that her father is involved in a lifestyle that revolved around assassinations and a group of men that were hell-bent on wiping out the men of the cloth so that science would take precedence over religion. And when she does find out his secret, her father is in grave danger, and she risks her life trying to save him. Being a historical romance novel, it centers around the relationship between Alcinia and the bard and how they both become involved in this suspenseful and dangerous mission. And I fell in love with these characters so much that book 2, which is called The Betrayal, followed in 2015. And I'm currently finishing up the third book in the trilogy called The Brotherhood and hope to have that out later this year. And now it's neat because when I walk into the library up on that second floor where I spend so much time writing that, I see my own book amongst those on the stacks that have taken me on countless adventures. And I hope that my book can also provide my readers with the opportunity to go on my adventures with me. So, thank you.
Take the Donut by Annie Hansen. So I'll see you back in Chicago, Jack asked, looking over at me from the passenger seat. His killer green eyes rested on me for what I knew would be our last quiet moment for some time. The way he was looking at me made me want to drop all of my plans, grab his hand in mine, and beg him not to go home yet. He knew. I could just tell. Was he going to let it go and wait for me to say something or confront me? I'll be home as soon as I can, I finally managed, my voice shaky and weak. I just want to make sure Dad is settled. This was so much more than I thought it would be. My eyes fell from his and started searching the console like I was looking for something. I was looking for time. Time to make up a better lie than the one I planned to use. But in the confines of the tiny car,
with all the pressure that comes with the airport departures lane closing in on me, I was unable to find more. It was time for Jack to go, and for me to do what I needed to do, alone. As if on cue, a horn behind me sounded, reminding us both that there was no time to second guess. "He's doing great. Everything is going to be okay, Kelly," Jack said, pulling my hand into his giant ones. He put his lips to my hand, making me want to crawl into his lap. "Hey, baby, look at me," he said quietly. His large form was very out of place in my parents' small sports car they drove in Miami. Jack's physique was much better suited to a large SUV like the one he drove back home in Geneva. He looked like a large, muscular bear, trying to squeeze himself into a clown car. It made me love him all the more. I met his eyes, trying to soak in all of his features one last time before he stepped out of the car. His dark hair had grown a bit longer in the 3 weeks we'd spent in Florida. I loved the way the color contrasted with his light eyes, making them shimmer with a sexy spark. The long hairs near his neck curled a bit, making him appear more playful. But I knew it bothered him. It didn't fit the role he played in his non-vacation life as an attorney for a Chicago law firm. It was time to let go of laid-back Florida Jack and go back to corporate Jack. Too bad. Even in the midst of my dad's health crisis, we had managed to take some breaks for fun time. I'd miss our surfing, running, and chilling on the beach. Going back home meant going back to a lot of responsibilities. We went at just the right time. The surgery opened the blockage, and now he's taking his health much more seriously. He's going to be fine. My dad's heart surgery had been a surprise to all of us, but in a way, we were all expecting it. My mom had been commenting more and more on his shortness of breath, fatigue, and crabbiness. Though my two sisters and I were worried, we didn't live near him, so we'd been unable to help. It took Jack and me coming down to Florida to finally make him go to the doctor and have the surgery. Though my sisters wanted to be here, I was the obvious choice to stay for the recovery, since my life was a little more flexible. I could work from wherever I needed. Being a writer allowed me a certain level of freedom, but that also got me in a lot of trouble. Having no restrictions on when and where I worked was not always a good thing. I had to be much more disciplined in order to be successful. These last 3 weeks, I'd gotten nothing accomplished as far as my writing, but that didn't matter. My parents' health trumped all. There would always be time for me to write. I don't know what I would have done without you here. I sighed, trying my best to give him a confident smile. My goal was to get him on the plane feeling confident about our relationship without a doubt that I loved him and was committed to our future. I was committed, but there were still a few doors that needed to be closed. I had a plan, and in order to accomplish what I hoped, that meant going behind his back, going behind everyone's back. Everyone I loved would have to be kept in the dark. There was just no other way. Annie Hansen is a graduate of the University of Illinois with a BS in biology. She is a partner with Hansen Search Group, a staffing firm she co-founded with her husband and business partner, Brent Hansen, in 2001. She was named the winner of the Helen McCloy Mystery Writers of America Scholarship in 2011 for her submission, Give Me Chocolate. Annie is the author of the Kelly Clark Mystery Series and can be reached through her website, kellyclarkmystery.com. She lives with her family in the western suburbs of Chicago.
Hello, everyone. I want to start by saying thank you for having me here today. I think you could see how excited I am based on the 25 people I brought with me today. I got a little excited. I have my family and friends, my Kelly Clark technical team, including my editor, and even the mayor from my hometown of Batavia, Mayor Jeff Schilke, is here today. Thank you for coming. It's a huge deal to be accepted and promoted by the Illinois libraries. I consider the librarians to be the experts, so it's an honor to be up here today, recognized as one of the top Illinois authors. A little bit about myself. I grew up in a lot. My mom is probably still paying off fines for my overdue books. When I was contacted by Highland Plum Library on March 6th to tell me I was a finalist in this competition, my first reaction when I saw them, that it was them calling, was, oh no, they finally caught up with me for that Nancy Drew book I lost. So what is Kelly Clark Mystery? With these crazy titles, Give Me Chocolate, Take the Donut, they sound so sweet and fun. And yes, they are sweet and fun and romantic, but there's also a very sinister story wrapped up in these pretty packages. The cozy mystery genre is about developing cozy little towns and communities and pulling the audience into the lives of main characters that you really like and can identify with. You have to make them likable, relatable, but you also have to create something in their life that is big enough to make people want to follow along with the series. So here's what I came up with. In my series, my main character, Kelly Clark, has a very big backstory that drives the series. Each book will solve a little mystery in the town of Geneva, but you will also pick up a clue into her past. From almost page 1, book 1, you know that Kelly and her husband were living in California and trying to get pregnant by using very expensive, very non-covered by insurance infertility treatments. In the midst of this, Kelly discovers that her husband has a pregnant mistress. And then, the really bad news. He's planning to kill the pregnant mistress. Kelly runs to the police. He's arrested for attempted murder and goes to jail in California for 10 years. Kelly manages to get a divorce, and 3 years later, the series begins. So we're really talking about a woman trying to get back on her feet and rebuild after a terrible betrayal. She moves back to her hometown of Geneva, Illinois, into the apartment above her sister's chocolate shop, rent-free, to try and rebuild because she's broke from the infertility debt, which now falls in her lap due to a lot of broken promises from her ex-husband. My favorite thing about the series is the amount of hope and growth you will see in Kelly as the series moves along. She does recover with the support of her family. She gets her groove back, and she even teams up with her sister Nikki to become an amateur sleuth. Now here's where my community and my local libraries come in. I use real settings in Geneva, Batavia, and St. Charles for my series. I'm always on the lookout for cool locations that would work for the series. For example, the chocolate store in the books Chocolate Love is based on the beloved chocolate store Graham's on 3rd Street. The owners of Graham's, Bob and Becky Untight, couldn't be more gracious considering all the things, albeit fiction, that have happened in the chocolate store throughout the series. Mysterious deaths, stalkers, explosions, fires, police in and out of the building, etc. The good thing, though, is I can't tell you how many people have asked me about the Graham's connection, so my hope is that it brings them a lot of publicity because they've been amazing. In regards to the local libraries, I've had a lot of support. I have Stacy Peterson here from Batavia Library, who nominated me in 2014 for my second book in the series for this competition. So thank you, Stacy, she's here today. And now I'm here again because Mary Hogue from Big Rock Library nominated the third book. I have kind of a unique story in that I actually used Big Rock Library for a critical scene in Take the Donut. I needed a quiet, secluded location for Kelly to meet someone who was leaving notes on her car, asking to speak to her in private. So my friend, Joanne Roth, who's here, said, hey, have you heard of Big Rock Library? Turns out it was perfect. Big Rock is a farmhouse turned library off a secluded farm road in a small town about 30 minutes west of Geneva. I contacted Mary, their librarian, who invited me for a tour. She spent a few hours with me, taking me through the library and sharing the history. Mary was a gracious host, and thank God she already had an interest in my quirky series. She allowed me to ramble on, questioning her about escape routes, best places for fight scenes in the library, how to best approach the library without being noticed, how to break into the library, you know, your normal everyday conversation. I remember at one point we were riding up in this little elevator from the basement of the library. We were in this compressed space riding up in silence, and I was thinking, I am scaring the heck out of this poor woman. But in the end, the scene at the library turned out great, and Mary nominated me for the third book, which is why I'm here today. So many thanks to Mary for going along with that crazy ride. Thank you again for having me here today. My plan for the future of Kelly Clark Mystery is to write 2 more books in the series. It's recognition like this that motivates me to hunker down and get to work and to continue to pursue my dreams. Thank you to the soon-to-be-famous committee and to my family and friends who are here. I appreciate it. Thank you. I love you.
The Towers Still Stand by Daniel Rosenberg. Late that afternoon, Virgil puttered around the house. Linda had taken a cab to the airport for a business trip out of town, and the huge home felt more silent and empty than ever. Maybe I should get a cat, Virgil thought. At least it would be someone to talk to now and then. Back when the boys were little, they'd had dogs, but he felt no need to get another. Too much work. He realized he was purposefully ignoring his computer, not wanting to check emails or the New York Times website, fearing what sort of demon he'd unleashed by handing over the memo to the reporter. It was an unusual feeling for him, like floating. He couldn't ignore the growing pit in his stomach. The phone rang. It was Harry. "You did it, Virg. Nice job," Harry said when Virgil picked up. "I can't believe it. I never thought you'd carry things through." "All right, Harry," Virgil said, a cold feeling spreading up from his stomach into his chest. "What does the article say?" "You haven't read it yet? Damn, Virg, get online and check it out. Call me back when you're done. I want to hear your reaction. I can't believe it. Have you heard from anyone in the White House yet?" "No, but now I'm dreading it," Virgil replied, walking with his phone toward his little office at the back of the 3rd floor. "Look, I'll read it and then call you back and let you know if I hear anything from anybody." "You did the right thing, Virg," Harry said. "I'm proud of you. But I have some advice. Turn off your cell phone and don't answer any emails. The media is going to be gunning for you, and I reckon they can figure out your number if they try hard enough." As if to prove Harry right, Virgil heard his call waiting signal. "Thanks, Harry. I have to go. Bye." He hung up. He clicked onto the other line, and it was Cheney. "Virgil," the familiar icy voice said, "we have to talk." "Yes, sir," Virgil replied, the uncomfortable feeling growing. What have I unleashed, he thought. "Be at my office at 5:30, Cheney said, "and don't talk to any more reporters." He hung up. Virgil stood there holding the phone for a moment, heart beating in his ears. He knew this would get him fired, but nevertheless, he felt like a child caught in some disgraceful act by his parents. What an odd sensation. Virgil had gone through his career saying what he thought, not worried about other sensitivities, and now he was shaking like a leaf. He poured himself a glass of bourbon and took a few sips. Thinking of Harry's advice, he turned off his cell phone. Then he sat down at his cheap and chipped old desk that Linda always nagged him to replace, opened up his laptop, and clicked onto NewYorkTimes.com. Nancy's story was the headline, sprayed across the top of the home page. Virgil leaned forward and read, from the New York Times, September 17th, 2001. Administration official says New York skyscrapers may have been target of Tuesday's hijackers. Warns more attacks are possible. By Nancy Hansen. Washington. A top White House terrorism official has warned President George W. Bush that Tuesday's hijackers may have been targeting buildings and monuments in New York City, and that underground sleeper cells of terrorists may remain in the United States planning further attacks. Virgil Walker, the president's chief advisor on terrorism, said in a memo to the president obtained by the New York Times that Tuesday's attackers were likely on a suicide mission, bent on crashing the planes either into the ground or into buildings. Although all the terrorists on the planes died in the collision, which killed 150, Mr. Walker believes the United States needs to launch an operation to find any partners of the hijackers who may still be in this country. Tuesday's collision of the planes, judging from the evidence we have, appeared to have been accidental, Mr. Walker warned in his memo to Mr. Bush. Based on the intelligence we've gathered over the last 5 years, as well as both planes turning toward New York City, I believe the terrorists had major U.S. buildings and monuments in mind as targets. We can't be assured that all the terrorists in this operation died in the collision. There may be others connected with the plot who are still in this country preparing other attacks. A professional journalist, Daniel Rosenberg's career includes stints writing for the Wall Street Journal and Barron's. He currently writes about financial markets for a major brokerage firm. Rosenberg is married, has 2 sons, and lives in Highland Park. The Towers Still Stand is Rosenberg's first novel, inspired by the events of September 11th. The book asks the question, what might have happened had the September 11th plot failed and the hijackers remained at large, with the country still ignorant about their intentions?
Thanks, everybody, and thank you for reading that. I really appreciate it. Thank you for nominating me for this contest. It's a great honor. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy that people are reading the book, and I'm able to tell the story to a wider audience. And telling stories, I think one of the other contestants said, has been such a big part of my life. One of my favorite memories as a child is sitting on the couch with my mom or dad and very closely sitting to them, cuddling, and hearing them read stories to me from the time I was very little and up until I was quite a bit older. In fact, I loved having stories read to me so much, when they stopped reading them, I read stories to my own little brother, and I probably read him a lot of stuff he didn't care to hear or wasn't interested in, but kind of forced it on him. And then when I had kids, you can ask either of them, they're not here, they're at school, but the reading continued, sharing stories. I've read through the whole Harry Potter series, the whole Lord of the Rings series with my kids, and lots of other stuff, including nonfiction. It's just a passion of mine. It's been nurtured by libraries. I spent some time growing up at the library on Belmont Avenue in my neighborhood of Lakeview in Chicago, which is still there. And actually one of my favorite memories of that place is that they rented records and games, board games, and we used to take them home and listen to records and play board games that we rented from the library. And I spent a lot of time in my college library too, which helped mold the education I got. And I really appreciate everything you've all done for me with your libraries over the years. The idea for the novel came to me because I'm a history major, I'm a reporter. The September 11th events were very powerful for all of us. But you almost might say I had a wish, like many of us, that they hadn't happened. And I wanted to imagine a world where somehow things had been different because the attacks were so horrible, I just wanted them to not have been. So in writing the story, I could enter that world, create the world where the attacks didn't go as planned, but I had to find a scenario that would have allowed that to happen. And in my research, which I did a lot of about the attacks, I learned that one of the planes flying out of Boston that day almost did collide with another plane, not the other hijacked plane. And that gave me the spark for this idea of the 2 planes colliding, the attacks not happening as we saw them happen, the buildings still standing, as the title says, and yet the terrorists still being on the loose, and the country not realizing that they were out there or what their plot might entail. So that gave me a very nice platform to write off of, and I thought the story would be about the government's attempts to find these terrorists and root them out, and that would be the focus, and that would be the main character. And you heard about the main character, Virgil, who's a White House terror expert, who I did actually base on a real figure in the White House from back then. But as I wrote the book, it became partly about him and also about the terrorists themselves. And here I felt I was entering maybe some delicate territory to show these terrorists, who, as bad as they were, also were human beings and may have had second thoughts about what they were doing. So one of the terrorists actually is one of the main characters in this book. And I really felt that became a big focus of the plot, which I hadn't expected. And I hope that by reading this, people will see, not that I'm excusing anything they did by any means, but that we're dealing with people here too, and what would they have had going through their minds as they planned this horrific event, and did they have any second thoughts? So I was able to bring that to life, I think. So I want to thank everybody again for reading it. I never thought I'd get this much recognition. I'm so glad this contest exists because it gave me a chance to share the story with a lot more people, and I hope everybody enjoys it. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Julie Stam. I've been the judge coordinator for all 4 years of this project. I kind of suspect that they stuck me here to just increase the suspense for you guys a little bit. Uh, But I'm going to briefly explain the judging process and how we got to where we are right now. The purpose of this project all along has been to show the power of libraries in recommending books to publishers. And so when we conceived the project, we wanted librarians to be the judges. And we set about recruiting them at the same time we started recruiting submissions that first year. And that's how we work it every year, at the ILA conference, through the ILA Reporter magazine, through ILA and Rails email blasts, through our website, through our email blasts. Every year, the librarians step up and agree to become judges, and we thank them for that and thank their libraries. We get librarians from all over the state, as you can see on this poster here, and from all types of libraries. Public libraries, academic, special, school, we have had judges from all walks of librarian life. The judging process goes in 3 rounds, which our authors here are aware of, but maybe not everyone is. During the first round, basically it's like a publisher, we ask the judges to look through the books that have been submitted, and every year we've gotten every genre of book, you know, all the way up to getting 103 the first year, 66 this year. And in the first round, think of it as going like a publisher going through their slush pile. They are briefly reading these books. We give them some areas to look at in judging these books for the first round. Is it adult fiction? Is it written in complete sentences? Because we've gotten some that aren't. Do they use punctuation? Are there characters? Is there a plot? We ask them to, would they consider adding this book to their collection? Can they think of a patron who would like to read this book? And basically, they're giving a yes/no to whether this book can move forward from that point. And this year, out of the 66 original books that were submitted, 20 moved on, which is more than we've had any other year. So the quality of the submissions we're getting every year is increasing, and that's a great thing to see. At this point, the committee then looks at those books to figure out if they really are self-published. And that's not as easy as you may think it is, because people like to put something, when they put their book up on Amazon, they want to put something in that spot that says publisher. They think it makes the book seem, we know self-published books are great, but there's still a perception out there, and some people put, if I'm the author and I'm Julie Stamm, I put Stamm Publications. Easy to figure out that's a self-publisher. There's services out there like CreateSpace. Easy to figure out that that's a self-published book. Others we've had to do a little research on. So before we announce those second round books that are moving on, we make sure they're actually self-published. In rounds 2 and 3, the judges use a rubric to score the books on. And there's different areas that they give a score of 1 to 12. It's commercial value, characterization, storytelling, plot, accuracy and organization, and if they recommend the book or add it to their collection. After the second round, each book in the second round is read by at least 3 judges, and obviously the top 3 scorers, these people sitting right here, move on to become finalists. Before we announce those, we call these people up and ask if they are, kind of explain where we are now, tell them about this event, and ask if they want to remain part of it and go out to libraries and promote the book. We have not yet had anyone say no. And in round 3, they use the same rubric that they use, and in the second round, and then every judge reads these 3 books. So we have 23 scores this year for each of these books. The highest scoring book becomes our winner, which Geraldine will reveal in just a few moments. Before we do that, Geraldine, you can come up. I just want to take the time, and I don't know if we have any of our judges. I know Eva was a judge in previous years, but if any of you are here, please stand up. Thank you. Thank you to your libraries for letting you do this. And thank you to Geraldine for being here today for this past year. And we're now going to reveal.
I just have to say that this time last year, when Michael did this, and it was my picture there, and my mom yelled out, Geraldine! I'm sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I get to do that next year. Okay. Do I just do it? Do I just lift it? Is everyone ready? Got the cameras ready?
We're going to give Daniel a few minutes to speak, but before we do that, we have a quick video from Bibliolabs. Who's presenting? No, you can stay here. It'll just be a minute or two.
Hey there, this is Mitchell Davis, the CEO at Board, and we are so excited to be part of the soon-to-be famous contest this year. Congratulations to all the finalists, and particularly the winner, Daniel Rosenberg. I look forward to reading the book, and you guys have a great time today. Congratulations.
We just want to formally present you
Very nice.
with that $1,000 check from Board.
Thank you, everybody. I never expected to win. I'm totally surprised. I want to thank the other contestants because their books sound wonderful, and I want to read them. And it was great to meet you both today. Thank you very much for your support. Thanks to everybody who's made this possible. I want to thank my wife, and especially she's read my book. She's been my wife, Debbie. She's in the audience. She's been my... See, the thing about Debbie is a professional editor in one of her previous jobs, so I know she's a tough critic. And so when I gave her my book to read, I was really nervous about what she'd say. And she did a heavy edit on it, and honestly, I let it sit for about a month after that. I was afraid to open it. I wasn't sure what she was going to have. And she ended up having incredible, great feedback for me, and I took a lot of it to heart and actually made some plot changes based on it. So it wasn't just a copy edit. But thank you for all your support. I really couldn't have done it without you. And thank you. My mother-in-law's here, too, so I'm so glad she could be here. I wish the rest of my family were here. My parents are out of town, but I know they were big support for me, too. My mother's a professional writer, so all through the years, she's been a big supporter of mine, my father, too. But like I said, I never expected to win. I thought the book would be too controversial, perhaps, with the subject matter. But I think it also, maybe people read it and feel the same way I do and imagine a world where this didn't happen or there was some way we could have avoided it. Because from a personal perspective, it it's quite emotional for me, the whole topic. So I hope that other people get to share the story and enjoy it too, as much as I enjoyed writing it. So I won't belabor the point. I want to say thanks again to everybody. I never expected to win. I'm very excited and happy to do whatever it takes to promote this great contest all through the next year, and really look forward to it. Thanks again.
Thank you, everyone, for coming today. Again, thank you for writing. Again, there were 66 great authors who put in books, and to get here, again, we have one winner, but we have 3 wonderful books to promote. And a lot of times you'll find that libraries will have all 3 of you in. And again, we have such a support through our library systems. Again, this has just been a fantastic project from the get-go. We thank you at the beginning and fundamentally for writing. The stories are the lifeblood of these libraries. From where these people come here, 93% of the people who come to public libraries are browsing, and they are picking up your books. So thank you for being who you are. Thank you for writing. And again, congratulations to all 3 of you, especially Daniel. And we'll see a lot more of all of you in our public libraries in Illinois next year. So thank you very much for coming, everyone.
We're gonna end up taking some. Yeah, don't forget your check. We're gonna end up taking some photos, but if any family members want to do a few first, please go right ahead.